That looks like it's something that rolled out of Troma Studios circa 1987.
It's a dense juice. You're right. It's great.
I
don't know if I can drink this.
If you're going to drink it, you should at least get it closer
honestly,
to the
you
mic.
guys, I have so much to talk about. And this is one of those situations where it's going to leak out of my brain unless I do it quickly. So we need to do it.
We're good.
Namaste.
What, are you meditating?
Namaste.
All right.
That's new.
It is Frightday. This is episode 50. I'm your host, Byron.
Really?
Yeah. And tonight, we talk likes, follows, uploads, and slit throats, reviewing Tara Subkoff's millennial mass murder feature, #horror. And now that we know the history of possession from all corners of the globe, we're getting personal, talking the most famous demonic occupations in this week's edition of Kelly's Cryptids and Conspiracies. I'm joined tonight by Kelly and Sam.
Hey, guys.
With all the nonsense that Eli Roth has created in the past 5 years, like Hemlock Grove or Green Inferno, and I'm not going to say Knock Knock because I think it's acceptable and people should watch it, but how come he hasn't given us what we all want?
What do we want?
Thanksgiving, obviously.
Oh.
You remember?
Yeah.
Famous trailer from the Grindhouse movies?
Absolutely.
No.
No?
Nope.
Well, I'll just play it right now so everyone else can hear.
Okay.
This holiday season, prepare to have the stuffing scared out of you. Thanksgiving. In the town of Plymouth, Massachusetts, the fourth Thursday in November is the most celebrated day of the year. The table is set. The festivities have begun. One uninvited guest has arrived, and this year, there will be no leftovers. White meat, dark meat, all will be carved. Thanksgiving.
Come on, Judy, how about it?
Happy Thanksgiving, baby.
Thanksgiving.
Cool it, Judy. You're safe. Mommy's here. It's blood. Son of a bitch.
Arrive hungry.
Happy Thanksgiving, Grandma.
Leave stuff. From director Eli Roth. Thanksgiving. You'll come home for the holidays in a body bag. This February.
How about that trampoline scene?
Worst.
It's the best.
Worst.
Why does he fucking waste his time on all this other garbage?
I have no idea. And what year did Grindhouse come out even? Like
Like
2007?
Yeah.
Is that right?
I was like 7 years old.
Not even close to true.
I know.
You're currently 14 years old.
A little, yeah.
So we could actually get in trouble for showing you some of these movies.
Yeah, probably.
Podcast over. No, but seriously though, that trailer might be my favorite horror trailer of all time. And I know that I'm not alone in this. So why is he making a giant shark movie when he could be doing a low budget retro slasher?
Yeah, and who trusted him with the budget for Meg anyway?
I mean, we don't really know what the budget is.
I thought I'd heard it was a lot.
I'd imagine so. And they've been working on that Meg movie for a long time.
I mean, God knows you can't make a shark movie on a low budget.
It's okay.
It just ends up like
Jaws, the
two-headed-
Revenge?
two-headed shark attack, Sharktopus,
Sharknado. Great. First impressions on Eli Roth's Thanksgiving trailer, and then let me know what your favorite part of Thanksgiving is.
It was funny, I guess. It's a little bit over the top. It's more you guys style, I guess. But I still think Decap a Ninja is really good.
Lobbing heads off.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Like sneaky like, though.
Lots of them for a trailer.
My favorite thing about Thanksgiving...
I was kind of just grazing over that.
My favorite thing about Thanksgiving is shopping. But not in the stores anymore because I don't support making people work.
Oh, you know that
on the
people
family
are
day.
Working. They're shipping your stuff still.
No, they don't have to ship it that night. I just buy it and get it on sale that night.
Yeah, but what about Amazon Prime?
I'm a goddamn Prime member. They better ship that week.
That's kind of true. 2 days.
Okay, then I will be shopping on Etsy on Thanksgiving and leaving specific notes that people do not need to commence work on my Etsy requests until the following Monday.
Or you could shop at ByronMcKoy.com and buy all kinds of cool stuff from me.
Byron, will you be shipping on Black Friday?
Maybe. I guess I mean, I don't usually have much else to do.
Byron, I don't want you to have to work.
I mean, what's Friday? It's Friday. Like, it's not like everyone gets Friday off.
I mean, I do.
What'd you watch last Friday?
American Horror Story?
Okay, so you're all caught up with that.
We finished!
What are your final opinions on that?
Sam is so going to disagree with me, and I know you are too. I think, not in terms of it being scary, but in terms of it being good, it was my favorite season.
Like plot-wise? Or
yeah, and just like compelling
execution?
Characters, good writing. It was an interesting story. I thought it was really, really incredible. I also really enjoyed the ways that it dovetailed with Asylum. Which I haven't seen. I don't think the other stories have done that. There hasn't been the dovetailing before, has there?
They've all kind of taken place in different eras
right.
up until now.
And that was kind of cool. I have to say, the episode about the pinheads, I am still on the verge of tears right now just talking about it.
I mean, don't cry on the air, please.
God, it was good. It was just good acting and a good story. It was the best writing I've seen for American Horror Story yet.
Do you feel similarly, Sam?
I thought it nosedived after about a third of the season.
Sure, and that's where I gave up, probably.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Are we spoiling something? What are you doing?
Maybe. So I'm saying the cutoff for me was Clown.
Wait, when that
arc resolved itself.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm with you on that.
I liked it.
That was my favorite part. Do you guys watch anything else?
Yeah, I watched Wormwood, Road of the Dead.
I've been really wanting to see that.
Yeah, which I had zero expectations for, but it was really, really good.
Is that New Zealand or Australian?
Australian.
Okay.
And I would have to say this is probably one of my favorite modern zombie movies.
Yeah, a lot of people going into that were nervous about another zombie movie. You know, the craze had just kind of hit its peak and fallen, and then this new zombie movie everyone was talking about came out.
The Walking Dead is kind of crested in popularity and has a spin-off, and there are only so many things you can do with zombies.
I think actually George Romero just inked a deal with AMC for another zombie movie.
Yeah, I saw that.
What the fuck
I
is
don't
that?
know. Has no one watched his last few...
Diary of the Dead?
Yeah, or, Grocery Store of the Dead.
Did he do Flight of the Dead? I would imagine it is. But either way, he hasn't been putting out quality zombie content for a long time.
Well, a really long time.
Still love him, if you're listening.
If by some chance, yeah. Wormwood was fantastic. It suffers from... They should have dropped the subtitle, The Road of the Dead, and just called it Wormwood, but I guess you have to get your general plot out there.
I think they were trying to be like The Road Warrior too, right? Is that where they're drawing a lot of influence?
And maybe that was one of the reasons I love this so much, because it really was, Road Warrior meets... Take your pick of zombie
movie.
Yeah. But it was Australian, so it had that authentic original Mad Max feel to it. And they did occasionally they do the sped up film rather than having cars actually going 100 million miles an hour.
Oh, really?
Or they speed it up or slow it down, I guess. There were some really cool car chase scenes in there. The whole plot revolves around this mechanic who is trying to rescue his sister from this deranged scientist who is maybe looking for a cure, but really just probably torturing people and infecting them. The characters are so good. I mean, Australians are just likable people.
Really?
Yeah.
A prison culture. The unwanted people.
Yeah.
Likable.
Yes,
Love to-
likable.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a character, Benny, who is one of the most delightful sidekicks in recent horror movies for me. Really great. Brooke, played by Bianca Brady, is the sister, and she's kind of a badass, almost Mila Jovovich in Resident Evil character.
I don't think we're supposed to say that name on the show. It was in Kelly's contract.
And Jay Gallagher.
God. That was real loud.
Tell her she can't do that,
She's,
Byron.
what, should pull out the knife and scream into the microphone?
Yeah.
You just violated your contract.
We can renegotiate. It's almost the end of the year. But yeah, she's a fun, strong female lead.
Yeah. And Jay Gallagher as Barry is the lead, and he's definitely a plausible badass. Some good one-liners. Just the gore was really good. The zombies were excellent.
Was it practical gore?
Yeah, lots of practical.
Cool.
There was probably a little bit of CG gore. Generally speaking, they used buckets of red blood.
Fun.
And so there is a twist. There are a couple of things about this movie that make it, that are different devices. Really, really, really different devices than other movies that I'm familiar with anyway in the zombie genre. One of them is, I'm not going to give the other one away, but mild spoiler alert, the zombies, for whatever reason, breathe and exude combustible materials.
Okay, they're huffing stuff.
They breathe it out.
Oh,
so
okay.
They're flammable. Their breath is like a fog of flammableness.
Dragons.
Well, yeah, they could be, but you could also use it to, if you plug some hoses into one, you could use them to power your car.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
What a glorious day.
Yes, it
Sure.
was very Mad Maxy. So anyway, that's what I watched. I really, really strongly recommend Wormwood, Road of the Dead to anyone who likes zombie movies, especially if they're sick of the genre, and anyone who liked Mad Max, post-apocalyptic, dystopian movies generally.
And that's on Netflix Instant right now, too.
It is.
Wait, what are you doing over there, Kelly?
I'm just ready
Okay.
to not talk about Wormwood.
You didn't like it?
I didn't watch it.
Okay, what did you watch?
I watched Harbinger Down.
Really?
With Sam Wellington.
A little bit of sci-fi.
Sci-fi horror.
Yeah, it was sci-fi horror.
I heard it's pretty much the thing.
It was a bit thingy.
Okay. Reaction.
With Lance Henriksen.
All right, fun. Tell me about Harbinger Down, Kelly.
It was kind of like The Thing, but it had Lance Henriksen.
All right, cool. Did you
No,
like
it was fine. It wasn't bad at all, but it was pretty reminiscent of The Thing.
I remember reading something about the Kickstarter. It was two guys who started some sort of practical effects workshop. I don't know the name of it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But they ran a Kickstarter for it, and they said that they were going to focus on nearly 100% practical effects in this movie.
It looked like they did.
Okay, cool.
Definitely some CG, but the creature effects were great.
They slipped
Great
in
practical.
some CG.
I think they did. But Kel, I thought the creatures were fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. It was much better than I expected going in, because it was one of those, Sam and I during the week will be like, okay, it's 9:00. We got an hour and a half before we pass out from exhaustion. Let's watch a horror movie. What's on Netflix? Let's see what there is. And we comb through and oh, okay, let's just watch this one. Rarely is it oh, we're really excited to see this. And this one was much better than I expected.
Cool.
So if you like alien horror, Harbinger Down.
Check it out. It's on Netflix Instant as well.
It is. They dumped just a whole bunch of decent looking stuff on there.
Well, I watched a bit of a sci-fi film as well.
What did you watch, Byron?
I watched a movie called Uncanny, a child prodigy who graduated from MIT at the age of 19. So he's a bright young lad.
I'm old and I still haven't graduated from MIT.
That's terribly sad.
Yeah.
I bet you also haven't been hired by a billionaire for your skills.
Oh, no, I have.
So half of it's true. You might like this film then. After being hired by this billionaire, he disappears for 10 years and then reappears having created Adam, who is the first perfect AI.
This is really starting to sound like something else.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So a reporter named Joy is brought to the workspace for a week to write an exclusive on Adam and his creator. Eventually, a robot-human-human love triangle develops and things get crazy. Sam, you were saying something.
Yeah. Boy, I don't know if it's Blade Runner or it's Ex Machina.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, going into this, I thought, we have just another Ex Machina or Machina, either way. It's nothing like that film, but I can't say that they weren't trying. Incredibly dry, and I know that there was part of that in Ex Machina, but it had, what's the main character's name? The guy that's in the Star Wars film?
Oscar Isaac?
This film had no Oscar Isaac, so it had no life, I guess.
No passion.
Exactly, except for Lucy Griffith, who played Joy. She was pretty much the only charming, light person in this movie, so I have to give her credit. It was shot well, except, as I said before, extremely cold, extremely isolated, I guess, which is maybe what they were going for. It just didn't work for me, and I hate comparing it to Ex Machina, but I mean, obviously,
with the description you gave, it's impossible not to.
Exactly. It's still worth a watch, and I wrote a full review of it on Frightday.com if you want to check it out.
Ooh.
Yeah. I love Ex Machina, and I can't wait for Oscar Isaac in Star Wars.
I agree with both of those statements.
Wait, what does he play in Star Wars?
He's one of the X-Wing pilots. I don't know his character name. I don't know why Sam doesn't know it.
I don't know why he doesn't either.
Poe?
Yeah, Poe Dameron.
Is he a new character?
Yes.
Who's your favorite new character from Star Wars?
I don't know. I haven't seen the movie yet, Byron.
Sure. Okay. You're not that kid that died from cancer?
No, I'm not.
You're going to fake that to try to get in?
Hold on,
wait. When I read it...
Did some kid who was dying of cancer get to see it?
Yes.
Okay, that's awesome.
It's pretty great. He died 4 days after he saw it.
He's literally the only person, basically the only person that's gotten to see it.
Other than Jay Abrams.
That's so cool. That's the coolest story ever. I love that. Disney's amazing.
Well, I think it was
JJ.
Yes. But I mean, Disney's they had to give it a thumbs up.
They absolutely had to, otherwise you couldn't have done it.
So other than Uncanny, I caught a couple moments of Nightmare on Elm Street 2 and 3. I caught the end of 2 and the beginning of 3. I do not like Nightmare on Elm Street, you guys.
I do not like it, Sam. I am.
What about Nightmare? I
think it's real overrated myself, too.
I don't think it's scary.
I don't think it is
Freddy
either.
doesn't scare me.
It's not my favorite of the main slasher franchises either.
It falls into that category of too loud and too bright, even though I love Wes. Did he have anything to do with Dream Warrior? Is that when he came back? Eating Skittles into the mic, huh? All right. Sure. She wants attention, I think. I think it's time to talk about...
It's like you're eating dice.
What are those actual dice? Jesus. Let's...
oh my God.
Let's talk about possession.
Roll some crits there.
In this week's edition of Kelly's Cryptids and Conspiracies.
Kelly's Cryptids and Conspiracies.
Well, last week we talked a bit about the history of exorcisms and how exorcisms or possessions manifest themselves in different religions and cultures around the world. So just to get us completely up to speed, we're going to talk about a few current situations involving possessions and exorcisms. There is an International Association of Exorcists that was recognized by the Vatican in the last few years. 250 supposedly certified exorcists, and they always had a representative in the Vatican, but the Vatican had not formally recognized them until recently, so that was kind of a big deal.
Do they have dinner parties? Or
Perhaps.
Cool.
Perhaps.
Let's crash it. Is that what Bohemian Grove is?
No. God, no. Obviously, we've got the Catholic Church sanctioned exorcisms, but there are also all these crazy exorcists, quote unquote, with little or no church affiliation.
Like Wraith Chasers?
Well, it's kind of like what we see in the Last Exorcism. You remember that movie?
Not as much as I should.
It was basically a pastor who went around doing exorcisms, but he freely admitted that they were complete BS.
Okay.
So there are a lot of people like that. There's this guy in Arizona, a guy named Bob Larson. He claims that he has conducted 10,000 exorcisms, which amounts to about one a day since 1982. And he's trained his teenage daughter and her friends also.
Oh, I love this
to
guy.
Conduct the ritual.
This guy's my favorite. I watched a Vice article about
did
this.
you? So you actually watched this
Yeah,
guy?
the teenage exorcists.
Oh, yeah. So a lot of these are like the Pentecostal preachers. There are also voodoo priests who do exorcisms. So
is there a good video we could run of them?
Of Bob Larson?
Of Bob Larson and the teenage exorcists.
I bet we can. I haven't found them. But
sure, I'm going to run that right now.
Let's run it right now.
They're black belts in karate. They're ace horseback riders, and they're also demon fighters. The leader of the pack, Bryn. They call her the Enforcer. She's 17, homeschooled, and a regular on the beauty pageant circuit. Then there's Savannah, the compassionate one. She's 20, a college student, and she likes to shop. And finally, Tess, the middleman, because she can do both good cop and bad cop. She's 17 and she performs in musicals. What do you say to people who just don't believe this stuff at all?
They should come and watch what we do.
Who told you to come? Satan!
After seeing an actual exorcism in person led by us, you will walk away with no doubts whatsoever.
You're all bound.
There is a war going on every day being waged against us. Satan hates us, but we know where the enemy is, we know what he's attacking, and we can fight back.
Get your hands off me, you filthy demon.
Their teacher is Bryn's father, Bob Larson, who says he's performed over 15,000 exorcisms and claims demons are much more common than many people think.
I know it sounds controversial, but maybe half the population.
Half?
Half.
Of the
Now,
world?
Yes.
So it's possible that I could have a demon as I may not know it.
Yes.
Before every exorcism, Larson and the girls do a briefing here at the office they use in Phoenix, Arizona.
Remember, you're exorcists, so we got to get those demons.
And then it begins.
What is your name? Find your feet. Answer us.
This woman's name is Gina. It's her first exorcism. The girls, armed with crosses, Bibles, and holy water, summon the demon within her, and then the demon apparently takes over Gina's body and speaks.
I renounce my rights.
How do you actually know whether somebody is demonically possessed?
Usually when you look in their eyes and the demon's up, you can see that evil staring back at you.
When a demon comes into someone, its desire is to steal, kill, and destroy that person's destiny, that person's life.
Who are you?
As the girls explain it, there are many different types of demons.
There's hate, murder, anger. All of those are very violent demons.
Look at what happens at the climax of Gina's exorcism. It takes 4 men to hold her back. This can be dangerous work.
The Christian life is risky. Taking on the devil is risky. What's riskier? Say no to God? Say no to God. The devil's got you.
Notwithstanding their extracurricular exorcism thing, the girls are, in many ways, quite normal and likable.
They're not very threatening.
Not threatening, yeah.
No.
It's
They're even afraid of bugs. You guys are scared of a bug and you fight demons?
Bugs aren't afraid of crosses.
She's mine. No, she's not. She's a child of God. No.
But there are, nonetheless, some very serious questions about the safety and the morality of what these girls are doing for people.
Do you get smitten by the sword of the Spirit?
How do you know that the people you're seeing aren't simply mentally ill?
We find out as much about them as possible. Are they receiving therapy? Are they on medication?
Are they under the care of a psychologist or a
And in some
psychiatrist?
cases, we can't help them. We have to turn them over to therapy or somewhere else. But sometimes it is just demons.
We met this grandmother named Sandy who flew in from Dallas for an exorcism. She says she has demons.
They talk to me.
They talk to you?
Oh, yes.
In what
And they
way?
have hurt me. They've hurt me physically. I have welts on my legs where they've held me down and raped me.
Raped you?
Yes.
The demons?
Yes.
She commands you.
Although she admits she has sought the help of a psychologist in the past, she says therapy was not helpful.
Get that false prophet up.
But even with 30 years of experience, are Bob and his girls really qualified to help people?
Find you now.
You are not a trained mental health expert.
No.
So it's possible, it seems to me, that you are performing exorcisms on people who actually need medication, talk therapy, perhaps even hospitalization. And can't that be a dangerous thing for the people you're trying to treat?
If you have a demon that is blocking the therapeutic help, the therapy's not going to go anywhere significantly.
But Larson, already a veteran of one failed reality show, definitely has critics. What are the worst things people have called you?
I hypnotize people. I prey on weak minds, weak-willed individuals. And of course, what I do is sensational.
Any truth to any of those charges?
Jesus performed an exorcism on a naked man in a cemetery in the Bible. That's pretty sensational. I haven't done that yet.
What's more, these sessions are not free, and Larson insists one session alone almost never does the trick. What does he charge?
His suggested rate is worth 400 and something.
And it's worth it.
To get these demons out of me, I would pay anything.
The argument, I would imagine, is this guy's taking money from people who really need psychiatric help, and he's charging them money to perform these bogus rituals.
Now, wait a minute. You're paid handsomely. So is anybody who has a responsible position in the public eye. And we have to fund what we do.
Whatever you think of what Bob Larson and his young proteges are doing,
in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit,
we may be about to see much more of them. Larson says he's currently weighing several offers for new reality shows
starring the girls.
There's also an author, Michael Cuneo. He has kind of shadowed 50 different exorcisms to research his book, American Exorcism, Expelling Demons in the Land...
Gross.
American Exorcism, Expelling Demons in the Land of Plenty. It came out in 2002. And after 50 different exorcisms, he came to the conclusion that there was absolutely nothing supernatural going on. Instead, most of them were very sad mental illness cases, which is what most of us believe.
Yeah, like that Starbucks exorcism we talked about last week.
So here's a fun quote, however, from Supreme Court Justice Scalia in an interview with the New York Times. He said,
I even believe in the devil, of course. Yeah, he's a real person. Hey, come on. That's standard Catholic doctrine. Every Catholic believes that. In the Gospels, the devil is doing all sorts of things. He's making pigs run off cliffs. He's possessing people and whatnot. And that doesn't happen very much anymore.
And whatnot.
And whatnot.
What he's doing now is getting people not to believe in him or God. He's much more successful that way.
So that guy's making laws.
Oh,
for
so
us.
I get it. Yeah, he's saying that the devil is responsible for atheism.
Yeah, what is it in Usual Suspects? The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
Would you be mad if I told you that I've never seen The Usual Suspects?
I'm actually going to ignore that you said that because I don't think I can talk to you.
It's not as good as everyone says it is.
Man.
It's better than everybody says
Busted.
it is. Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
So on the more grim side of things,
eating Skittles.
Sorry.
Still.
Stop it.
All right. I'm trying to move the Skittles.
Yeah, to quit eating.
On the more grim side of things,
Oh, Jesus.
people have died during exorcisms. That is the subject of the movie Exorcism of Emily Rose, which actually is more of a courtroom drama.
Yeah, it sucks.
Oh, yeah, it was shitty.
There's some very scary parts in it, some actually terrifying parts, but it's much more of a drama.
Is that the backwards bending?
Yeah, it's Deb.
Deb from Dexter.
Yeah.
Jennifer Carpenter.
So that was about, loosely based on a girl who actually died in Germany.
I love this story.
Yeah, it's a really, really sad story. Essentially, they kept attempting to exorcise her and they were starving her, and she basically wasted away and died of malnourishment. And
I thought it was dehydration. I thought they were
maybe it was dehydration.
Give it one final go at it.
Oh God, it's horrible.
There's
and if you look at the pictures, they're terrifying. Don't look at the pictures.
They are.
Don't look
go
at the
to
pictures.
Frightday.com.
No, please don't post those pictures.
They're there. They're
terrible.
Great.
Another child in 2003, an autistic 8-year-old boy in Milwaukee, was bound in sheets and held down by church members during a prayer service to exorcise the evil spirits they blamed for his condition, and he died of asphyxiation.
From sheets?
Yeah. And then...
Wait, so they were around his head?
Yes.
You think that this is kind of what the scene in The Conjuring might have been pulled from?
No, actually, The Conjuring comes from a fully different story.
Oh, I'm talking just about that third act where she's in the chair with a blanket over her.
No, that actually happened at the Conjuring house. Yeah.
Okay.
But it is creepy. So there was also a exorcism in 2005 at a Romanian convent. Maritsica Irina Cornici.
Cool name.
23-year-old nun. She said she had heard the devil telling her she was sinful. So they bound her to a cross, they gagged her with a towel, and then they left her for 3 days without food or water, and lo and behold, she died.
Sounds like she wanted some attention.
And it's really sad because she had a history of schizophrenia, and they actually
maybe
knew
it was
that.
The schizophrenia.
And they just went ahead, and I mean, it is a little bit crazy.
Yeah, but schizophrenia is the devil's work.
Yeah, you cure the devil, you cure the schizophrenia.
Mm-hmm.
So another
just medical doctrine.
Fun, famous people who have been tied to exorcisms. This is kind of interesting, I thought. Did you know that Mother Teresa was supposedly exorcised?
By Richard Simmons?
Late in life. Oh, that's amazing. Now, late in life, under the direction of Archbishop Calcutta, Henry D'Souza. Henry D'Souza is the Archbishop of Calcutta. Sorry.
Okay.
I was like, what are you waiting for? She seemed to be very agitated in her sleep and feared she might be under the attack of the evil one, so she went through an exorcism.
She had a nightmare.
Perhaps.
Is that what that is?
Well, it was the devil.
Okay.
Bobby Jindal, who is the governor of Louisiana. Is he running for president?
Presidential hopeful.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think he is running for president. There's so many of them, it's hard to keep track.
There's a lot. I'd like to take a break real quick and say that...
Presidential?
Yeah.
I'd vote for you.
I'm running for president.
Oh, I just assumed.
Byron Colin McKoy.
I love it.
Republican Party.
I've already got my ballot filled out.
Get this
Not
guy.
Republican
No,
Party.
I'm gonna run as a Republican.
Oh, Jesus.
Sneak in and pull pranks. Huh?
Yeah?
Just shenanigans.
Oh, shenanigans all day. It's
like,
gonna be great.
Oh, dropping bombs.
So
I love it.
I mean, get the hashtag going. Hashtag McKoy 2016.
But then what if people vote for your sister instead?
MCK.
Sure, I'm fine with that.
MCKOY.
So Bobby Jindal wrote an essay in 1994 about his personal experience performing an exorcism
All right.
on a friend named Susan while they were in college.
Just a pal.
That should be a new requirement for president. You should have to have a demonstrated ability to exorcise demons.
Also, a terrible first date.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Well, not the worst.
Physical contact is important to beginning a solid relationship.
Final one, another known person to be crazy, Salvador Dali, underwent an exorcism in 1947 in France. Italian friar Gabriele Maria Berardi.
You're doing your best.
Mm-hmm.
What's a friar?
And Dali gave her... Gabriele Maria Berardi has to be a her, right? But I thought a friar was a dude.
Sam.
Gabrielle?
No, what's a friar, I guess? Does it have to be a guy?
It's like a... No. I mean, but yes, probably. It's like like a mini priest.
Okay.
Okay, so Dali
Like
gave
Friar
the mini...
Tuck.
Yeah, that's the only
Robin
friar
Hood.
I know.
As a thank you, Dali gave the mini priest a sculpture of Christ on the cross as a thanks for exorcising the shit out of him.
Oh, fun.
Yeah,
Boy, that's worth a pretty penny.
probably. So the two biggest, most famous exorcism stories we're going to discuss now, one of them being
The taking of Deborah Logan.
No, that would be great, though. The story behind The Exorcist. This is interesting because it really is pretty loosely tied.
Roll it now.
I mean, it's loose. They ran pretty loose.
I'm so sorry. I'm coughing.
It's that goddamn juice.
I'm sorry.
Stop juicing.
No man should eat that much kale.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
1949.
Maybe I'm allergic.
There were a bunch of newspaper articles talking about a possession and exorcism, and the family of the exorcised boy had this pastor, Luther Miles Schultz, and he supposedly was the one that started leaking all these stories. According to one account, a total of 48 people witnessed the exorcism, and 9 of them were Jesuits. Jesuit priests are very well respected, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. According to Thomas B. Allen, after this boy's aunt passed away, the family experienced strange noises, furniture moving, and eventually turned to this Lutheran pastor, Luther Miles Schultz, for help. He had been interested in parapsychology for a long time, so Schultz arranged for the boy to spend a night in his home to observe him. Sounds a little sketchy to me. When parapsychology...
Sounds like a great
Sounds
excuse.
a bit like Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Sounds, yeah.
I just want to exercise you.
Oh my God, stop it.
What?
You got the demon in you.
Okay, so when parapsychologist J.B. Ryan learned that Schultz claimed he witnessed household objects and furniture moving by themselves, Ryan wondered if Schultz unconsciously exaggerated some of the facts. And Schultz advised the boy's parents to see a Catholic priest since there were some doubts about his involvement. So the boy underwent a number of exorcisms. Edward Hughes, a Roman Catholic priest, conducted an exorcism on, and this guy, Roland Doe became his famous name. So Roland at Georgetown University, which also is a Jesuit institution. Lots of Jesuit infusion into the story. During the exorcism, the story goes that the boy slipped one of his hands out of the restraints, broke a bed spring, used it as a weapon, slashed the priest's arm, and the exorcism had to be halted. The family traveled to St. Louis, where Roland's cousin contacted one of his professors, who also happened to be a priest. This priest got one of his buddies involved, and the two of them visited Roland in his relative's home, and they observed supposedly a shaking bed, flying objects, the boy speaking in a guttural voice, which, I mean, I could do right now if I wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, we all can.
And exhibited an aversion to anything sacred, the boy did, that is.
Yeah.
So Bodern, one of the priests, granted permission from the archbishop to perform another exorcism after seeing all of these things. Before the next exorcism ritual began, another priest, Walter Halloran, and this name becomes important, was called to the psychiatric wing of the hospital, where he was asked to assist Bodern. Those two priests plus a third Jesuit priest
walk into a bar.
Yes.
How's this one go?
I gotta know.
Halloran says that during the exorcism, words evil, hell, and other various marks appeared on the boy's body, who at this point is a teenager. During the litany of the saints, that's part of the exorcism rite, which you guys wouldn't let me read.
It's just a goddamn zoo around here. It's so unprofessional.
Someone at the door?
No.
Are you sure?
Put her down, huh?
Yep. That's something you can do.
That's sad. Where were you, Kelly?
During the portion of the exorcism where the priest reads the litany of the saints, which you guys would not let me read the whole ritual.
No, it's
We
too
would
much.
not. Absolutely not.
It'll be on Frightday.com.
You guys remember how cool it was when I read the whole ritual from Bohemian Grove?
I do. That was terrible.
Pretty cool.
Fast-forwarded through.
It was great. Okay. So during this exorcism, Roland broke priest Halloran's nose, and Halloran told a reporter later that after the rite was over, the anonymous subject, Rolando, went on to lead a rather ordinary life.
He's satisfied after he socked a guy.
I guess so. The thing that's interesting...
You just feel better after you punch a priest.
Never punched a priest.
Well, the thing that's interesting about this to
Never
me
lived.
is there are rumors that there was some molestation that occurred.
Molest?
Oh my God.
Oh, I just assumed that. Do we need to actually say it?
In the hospital?
No, but actually, I shouldn't say that. It's kind of unclear. I almost wonder if it started way back when the Lutheran pastor was like, "Come spend the night at my house."
You really
let
think
me observe
that
you?
He got Jacksoned.
I mean, maybe.
Oh my God, it makes sense.
But it's very weird to me. So, A, it's a boy, not a girl. B, there are tons of
Come
priests
on
involved.
now.
I mean, the story is like...
That's usually how it works.
No, I mean, this is ridiculous. Anyhow, the kid's real name, supposedly, was Robbie Mannheim.
Wait, we know his name?
Well, that's been released as saying
Not
his
very
name.
professional.
I mean, I don't know. Supposedly that was him. There are all of these phrases that Halloran, the priest, talked about being mentioned during the exorcism, but the stories have been rather inconsistent, and they got a little bit more elaborate. And then Halloran died, and that's the spirit box contact that I listened to for like 2 hours. They were trying to contact this priest because he had a journal where he had recorded a lot of details about this exorcism.
Deep secrets.
Right. So, but those were released, and there's a lot of controversy over whether he would have wanted them to be released. This is where I Am Legion came from. For example, if you look at the movie The Rite, there are actually more pieces of this story thrown into the movie The Rite with Anthony Hopkins than there were in The Exorcism. Or pardon me, than there were in The Exorcist.
Was The Rite any good?
Yes, very good.
It's weird. I can't think of a place where you could go and see other good horror possession movies.
What do you mean?
Maybe like compiled into a list.
Oh, in a really good list?
Yeah.
In like a top 13 list?
Yeah, maybe.
Because 13 is a good number of
That'd
movies
be good
to watch.
if somebody did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be. I did it.
Oh, okay.
As it turns out. And it's on
No
Frightday.com. Yeah. Yeah, it's a really good list.
13 possession films. So you're not so lonely this holiday season.
Yeah. Nobody should be lonely.
Frightday.com.
Yeah. Regardless, I think that this story is a little bit... I mean, perhaps something happened. It's very hard to argue that this couldn't all be explained by a kid who had some mental health issues, possibly because of incidents that occurred in his life.
During a time of development as well. This went through his adolescence, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, audience, if you would like to read more details, although I'm fairly skeptical about this, feel free to check that out.
Check what out?
The companion materials to this episode.
Okay.
Where Byron will have some of the material from Father Halloran's journals posted. Yeah.
Can do.
So this now is the other super famous possession instance. And I like this story personally quite a bit better. This goes back to the Amityville horror story.
Oh, Jesus. Here we go.
Now, okay, I'm going to be really upfront with everybody. There is a lot of BS contained in this story, like a whole lot of BS.
And if you love BS, you can
But-
watch the movie My Amityville Horror.
Oh, which is actually, that's not BS. That's
Or
really
you could just
interesting.
hit yourself in the face
It's
with
actually
a
just
hammer.
really
for
depressing.
90
You want
minutes.
a guy to like go.
That guy is a sad character.
All I can do is just rock out, man. Just rock out.
That guy is a really
Drop
sad
out and rock
character.
out.
That guy being,
It's the DeFeo's son.
what's his name?
Danny.
Danny.
It's Daniel Lutz, who's the son of the main character in Amityville Horror, George Lutz.
The dad.
The dad. And I guess Danny is probably portrayed in the movie too, because he's one of the kiddos. Mm-hmm. But really, the story of Amityville begins a little bit before the Lutzes moved in. It started in 1974, November 13th to be exact. And that's the night that the 23-year-old son, Ronnie DeFeo Jr., murdered his entire family.
Oof.
In that home at 112 Ocean Avenue, Amityville, New York. This is fact. This actually happened. And he is still alive, serving 6 consecutive sentences of 25 years to life for the deaths of his mother, Ronnie Sr.
Would those be second degree then?
What do you mean?
Or are they first degree murder?
They're all first degree murder. So
you only got 25?
Oh no, second degree murder.
Yeah,
it's second degree.
Yeah, not planned.
Right, yeah, sorry.
Interesting.
So he's killed his father, Ronnie Sr., his mother, Louise, his brothers, Mark and John, and his sisters, Dawn and Allison. The sisters were 18 and 13. The brothers were 12 and 9. There are so many different versions of what happened that night. DeFeo's story has changed a million times. However,
the facts.
But this is the part of the facts. So all of these people died. Ronnie was a complete scumbag, and he'd been doing a bunch of drugs.
I mean, with a name like Ronnie DeFeo.
Well, they've got ties to
the
mafia.
Yeah.
Lots of very interesting things going on there. However, there's a piece of the story that I had not read. I previously totally wrote this whole thing off. But when I was doing this research, I came across something that completely changed my mind. Part of the story is that the sister may have been involved in helping him kill the parents, and then he turned and killed the sister. Possibly that happened, possibly that didn't. But all of the family members were found dead in their beds, on their stomachs, without any struggle. You can't move from room to room killing 6 people. And according to forensics, they hadn't been moved. That was where they died. That part of the story makes this really weird to me. I mean, DeFeo has actually formally recanted the part of his story where he said that he heard voices that night. He's come back and said that he didn't hear voices, but he's literally told like 100 different versions of what happened that night. So who the hell knows?
Yeah, at this point.
He's a pathological liar.
He is a pathological liar.
Clearly a piece of shit.
And some reports indicate that he was on LSD the night that it happened, which would make sense. But regardless, whatever happened, you can't kill 6 people in that manner. I mean, no matter what order you go in, somebody's going to hear, and there's going to be a struggle. There's going to be people running around.
What if they had white noise machines?
To block, really, Byron?
I don't think the DeFeos had white noise machines.
Okay, fine.
The contention is there is some kind of evil spirit in this house that somehow inspired Ronnie to do this. That same evil spirit, now compounded by all these additional horrible things that happened, haunted the Lutzes when they moved in. But in all reality, you guys, can you come up with any way? Sam, weapons accuracy report.
Sam's weapons authenticity report.
I'm so sorry for coughing this whole
It's
show.
okay. Byron, it's all right. It's all right. We love you anyway.
Thanks.
But Sam, in your weapons accuracy report, can you explain to me how it would be possible to murder 6 people in their beds in the same house,
First of
going
all, it's
room to room?
Authenticity report.
What did I say?
Accuracy?
Accuracy,
You've said
sorry.
that a couple times.
Sam, in your weapons authenticity report,
You don't need to say it again.
can you
I'm
tell
leaving
me
it.
how that would be possible?
This is more of a murder authenticity report than
Yeah, but it has
weapons.
to do with weapons. Does it not?
Weapons are loud.
Even with a silencer, they're loud.
Like, okay, so on Thanksgiving, we're going to have family staying here.
Oh, and
so
what's
let's say
going
there's
on?
6
So
people.
when I kill all of them,
Right. But if you were going to go around and kill everybody on Thanksgiving night, hypothetically, you would not be able to accomplish that, even with a silencer, without disturbing people and getting them to wake up and resist their death in some way, shape, or form.
that's not really a weapons question. It's just the logistics of murdering that many people in
Okay,
their
but
sleep.
it's tied to weapons, so just answer it.
How big is the house?
I mean, it's big, but it's not mansion size.
Okay.
It's, it's a big house. You've seen the photos of
Yeah,
it.
and my other question would be, are there crime scene photos of the people actually laying face down on the bed?
That's really an excellent question. It was all testified to in the trial, but I don't know if there are any photos. Do you want me to dig up photos?
No,
Is that
I
what you
mean,
want?
if they exist, I'll find them. But that would be my one thing to say, is that is bullshit and that they weren't all in bed.
But why would the forensic...
Why would an urban legend like this...
No, but in the trial it was... My point is, why would the forensic specialists lie about that? What
to
would
put
be
him away. I don't know. I
that
guess
wouldn't put him away.
I have no idea, honestly. Yeah, that's kind of an insanity defense, or I guess not an insanity, but like
and it would be
a supernatural defense.
And yeah, you could say the forensic science hadn't advanced very far at that point, but even in what year was this?
74.
74. Yeah. I mean, you could find lividity pretty accurately.
It's tough to say because there is no real physical. Maybe there is physical proof, but
that was physical proof. That's the part that completely changed my mind about this. That wow, there's something to this.
Yeah.
So
now,
if I was going to do that,
yeah,
I would
here.
tear out a gas line.
There was no gas in their system. That was
Okay.
something.
I know.
that
I'm
they
just
looked
saying,
at.
if I was
if he
going
was to murder your entire family,
yeah.
So I should make sure the gas gets shut off after we cook the turkey.
Well, I'm just saying you need some way of incapacitating everybody all at once in order for that scenario
Okay,
to
this
play
might
out.
have passed a little bit too much into me being completely terrified.
This is what you did.
All right, I guess I did do that. Moving past the DeFeos, all right, clearly something terrible happened that night. Whatever caused it, now I have question about whether there was some type of an evil force involved, because that was a very interesting fact to me. If we move back to when the Lutzes move in, all right, interestingly enough, it was about 13 months after...
Ooh,
right.
13 on November 13.
No, not really.
That was the other one. The DeFeo murder. November 13th, 1974.
Okay, but this is interesting. So I thought
Byron,
November 74. Yeah, okay. Oh, it was November 13th.
I know.
Wow. Okay, so in December...
Murderpedia over here.
Yeah, it's creepy. In December of 75, the Lutzes buy the house for $80,000, 112 Ocean Avenue.
Hell of a deal. There's a place on Ocean Avenue.
Essentially, this is like a Brady Bunch family, right? So you've got kids. Everybody's coming together. Kathy has 3 kids from her previous marriage. Lutz has a couple kids from his previous marriage, and they all go in together for a fun Brady Bunch family.
And they were a happy family, too.
No, they were bad, too. They weren't as bad as the DeFeos.
Okay. Not as criminally...
No, not quite as bad.
They were just real white trash, weren't they?
However, interestingly, George bore a striking resemblance to Ronnie DeFeo, if you look at the photos. So the Lutzes only lived there for 28 days, but almost immediately after moving in, George started behaving strangely. Okay? He was getting more and more grumpy, let's say.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is like in that Ryan Reynolds movie.
It is like in the Ryan Reynolds movie. He was turning into a bit of a jerk. Okay. He also claims that he started waking up at 3:15 every single morning, which happens to be the time that the DeFeo murders were committed. This is what's interesting. When the Lutzes moved in, they actually had a priest bless the house immediately. During that blessing on December 18th, the priest said that he was slapped in the face and heard a voice telling him to get out. However, he didn't say anything to George or his wife Kathy about it until Christmas Eve. And at that point, yeah, I know, that was really weird. And at that point, he told them to stay out of the second floor room where he had that incident, the former bedroom of Mark and John DeFeo, the brothers that were murdered 13 months prior.
Marky and Johnny DeFeo.
Super sad. Super sad. However, the call was cut short by static, according to Father Mancuso. The rest of the story, and again, one of the problems here is that there have been inconsistencies, even though this is a priest. The father says that after he left that original blessing on the 18th of December, he developed a high fever and blisters on his hands similar to stigmata. Okay. But there have been times where he said this hasn't happened, and then there have been times where he said it did happen, and he's been recorded saying both. So there's, just a little bit of wishy-washiness there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
odd murder
the Lutzes claimed that there were swarms of flies constantly, despite the winter weather. Kathy had nightmares about the murders that had happened before, which to me, that would be normal. If I knew that, 6 people had died in this house, I'd be having nightmares about it all the time.
So, okay, stop real quick. Why would that bother you? It's very possible that lots of people have died right here.
Oh, stop it. Don't do that. You know how that freaks me out. Please
Hundreds.
stop.
Genocide almost definitely happened.
And if you're drinking
these grounds.
water, there's a good chance you're drinking body water. It's rubbed up against something dead somewhere.
That doesn't bother me as much.
Well, I mean, we are all swimming in body water.
I'm not swimming in anything. I'm just standing in the air right now.
We can't be afraid of dead things.
I can. The kids, the Lutz kids, supposedly started all sleeping on their stomachs. creepy. They had never done that before.
Bad beds, bad posture.
Could be.
Leads to problems down the road.
There was a small hidden room behind shelving in the basement, and the walls in this room were painted red and didn't appear in the blueprints of the house. Came to be known as the Red Room. Hey, Sam, what do we call the room that we're sitting in?
Frightday studio.
No, seriously, we call this room
It's a red room.
Yeah.
I know. It's a red room.
Yeah.
I know.
For all the reasons that you would think you'd call a room the red room.
Their dog, Harry, freaked out every time he came even close to the Red Room. There were cold spots, odors of perfume, other odors that smelled really terrible. There was a cross that supposedly spun upside down. They say that they saw an image of a demon in the fire. The 5-year-old daughter found an imaginary friend named Jody, who was a demonic pig-like creature with glowing eyes. George says that one day when he was outside in the yard, he looked up into Missy's window and saw the demon pig standing behind her and then ran up the stairs, and she was actually asleep and the rocking chair in her room was just rocking back and forth. So lots and lots of creepy things. I firmly believe after reading all of this that something happened to the Lutzes. I think that there were some creepy things that happened in this house because they got a screaming deal and they ended up ditching the house after 28 days. So there was a reason they left. I think that something did happen. However, George, being a bit of a shit, decided that he was going to really capitalize on this. So after they moved out, George and Kathy went and saw Ronnie DeFeo Jr.'s lawyer, William Weber, and they started discussing what had happened to them. And according to Weber, the conversation started out very normal, where they were talking about some creepy things that had happened. But then they drank 4 bottles of wine between the 3 of them and started talking crazy jib-jab about what if we wrote a horror book about this, and this. So I think what happened is George was like, I could make some money. And so they started making a bunch of shit up.
It's a good voice.
But I do think that at the heart of it, there was some reality. But I think that these are not the brightest people. And I think that they're also, especially George, is a total scam artist at this point. And so he's making stuff up to try and make some money off of it at this point. But I do think that there was a reason they left. And I think that when they left, there was something genuine and scary going on.
I think it's all the wet bodies breaking down in the crawl space.
No, so it was mid-January
Making a noise and a
1976.
smell.
Who the hell wants to move in the middle of January? Nobody.
Well, yeah, because of the stink of the bodies.
They got the same priest to come in and do another blessing. Here's the part that's interesting, too. The Lutzes refused to give a full account of the events that took place the last night that they stayed there in mid-January because they say it was too frightening. So even though they're trying to make a buck off of this...
Yeah, it's making a buck.
Yeah, but they could come up with something real good for that night, and they never did.
I think they did the perfect thing by being like, ooh, it's the Hitchcock.
Yeah, but they don't strike me as that smart.
That's probably true.
They're
but
pretty
I bet
dumb.
Walter Weber's a smart guy, I bet.
Weber's a smart guy, but Weber didn't write the book.
Okay.
They move, leave all their possessions there, send a mover to come and get all the stuff. The mover says he doesn't experience anything paranormal. Then they end up writing this book. Okay.
The Amityville Horror?
Yep.
Okay.
And Sam, this is a fun fact. Did you know that the author, Jay Anson, based the title The Amityville Horror on the Dunwich Horror by H.P. Lovecraft?
Really?
Yeah. Fun factoid, huh?
Bottom line, this DeFeo was possessed.
Well, I don't know that he was, but the fact that, like I said, all those bodies being found on their stomachs, I can't come up with anything other than something weird happened for him to be able to kill all of them without any type of resistance like that.
Post-arrest, had he been exorcised, or did he just become
here's something interesting.
free?
Both George Lutz and Ronnie DeFeo Jr. are rumored to have dabbled in the occult. Yep. And you know me, I'm not one that really buys into that stuff too much. However, if you watch my Amityville Horror, Danny talks a little bit about George dabbling and blaming that for a lot of the things that happened to them while they were in the house, that George kind of invited them in.
What year did the book come out? Don't know.
I think 77.
Pre-Satanic Panic, or right in the
middle of it, wasn't
is that
it?
right?
Well, and also, I mean, let's be honest, it was right after The Exorcist had made a bunch of money, kind of on a similar theme. I just think that there's something interesting here in the sense that, yes, there's no doubt it was sensationalized by the people who participated in it, but I think there's something at the root of it, and it's unfortunate that there was such exaggeration of the real account, because I think what's at the root is probably interesting enough, and it's a shame that we can't just peel away all the BS. However, George is now no longer among the living.
He's dead.
He is dead.
Oh, man.
But I got the impression that maybe he wasn't the super best guy.
It's cool because I get the impression that I know who we're talking to later tonight.
No, we are not. Byron, you are not. No, like I'm actually serious here. You're not allowed to do that.
I can't call forth.
No, you absolutely cannot do that.
Okay.
That's not happening.
All right.
I'm not inviting somebody like that into my house.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's not happening. Sam, don't smile at me.
What?
Let him smirk.
Come
no
on.
smirking. No smirking. Now, the second Amityville movie talks about the root story with the DeFeos, and I've never seen it, so I need to watch that.
I haven't either, no.
Yeah, I really need to watch it. This, to me, is actually a great representation of possession in general. There is a lot of BS surrounding the stories of possession. I think in many cases there's something true at the core of it. In a lot of instances, that truth is a sad mental illness. In some cases that I have read, there could be something more to it, but there is such drama surrounding it that it's almost impossible to peel away and get to just the root of whether there really might be something very terrifying going on. But the closest I have come to it is in this Amityville story with the deaths that actually happened at the hands of DeFeo in 1974. It seems like there had to be something interesting going on there. I'm still waiting for a good explanation.
Well, thank you so much, Kelly, for that.
Yeah.
Good report.
So we'll have some companion material that goes up, but I think my takeaway from all of my really creepy hours feeling like Byron and researching terrible, dark things.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah. My takeaway is it's not something to mess with because I think that there is a chance that there's something going on there, that there's some type of energy that's invited in that should not be invited in. But I also think that an equally, probably more important takeaway is if somebody suffers from a mental illness, you should take that seriously as a mental illness and perhaps not try to exorcise them first. I don't recommend starving people or making them go without water or binding and gagging them to try and make demons go away. I think that maybe the first stop should be a psychiatrist.
Wise words to live by.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for your report, Cal. That was great.
Very welcome. Thanks, guys.
I love a two-parter.
What do you guys say we leave our historical reports and move to something a little more relevant in today's culture?
Let's review #horror.
Hope you're enjoying your visit here this evening. Now, on with the show.
You gotta keep that foot up there, huh?
I'm just a little cramped.
All right. #horror is an American horror film written and directed by Tara Subkoff and starring Chloe Sevigny, Timothy Hutton, and Natasha Lyonne, as well as a wonderful cast of first-timers. Sam, can you tell us what this movie's about?
Inspired by actual events, a group of 12-year-old girls face a night of horror when the compulsive addiction of an online social media game turns a moment of cyberbullying into a night of insanity.
Holy shit.
Yeah?
Okay, it's no secret to people who listen that I'm kind of obsessed with Bret Easton Ellis.
Okay, BEE.
And if you look at his books, even the ones that have been made into movies, but especially his books, things like Glamorama, which I'm still waiting to be made into a movie.
Yeah.
Things like The Rules of Attraction.
Great
this
film.
had such a Bret Easton Ellis tone to it. Oh my God, I loved it. It felt like Bret Easton Ellis and Mean Girls had an amazingly artful child.
So I've never been a 12-year-old girl.
Thank God for you.
But I can't imagine growing up in this world as a 12-year-old girl.
God, I wanted to cry watching it, and I'm a 30-something man.
It's horrible. It is horrible, you guys.
Is this the future or the present or something?
Present. It was present.
But what is it? It's this game doesn't exist right now. Are they just elaborating on social media?
See, my impression, I still don't understand the game thing because my impression was that the girls just had this inherent like competition that a lot of kids do. Who can get the most likes? Who can get the most friends? Who can get the most...
No. First of all, we should talk about the elements of this movie that really were unique.
Oh my God, it was incredible.
This is the directorial debut of Tara Subkoff.
She is amazing.
Isn't she? She's a fashion designer.
I'm going to be honest. I went into this going, okay, great. It's a bunch of artists.
It's
and
called
a fashion designer,
#horror.
And it's called #horror. I'm like, this is going to be so ridiculously lame. And from pretty much the first 30 seconds, I was like jaw-droppingly impressed and felt the same way the whole way through. Yeah.
So it says here she's an American actress, conceptual artist, director, and fashion designer. She was touted as an it girl in the late 90s. So I didn't know much about her going into this at all. All I knew was the trailer, and as you said, #horror is a name. And I was like, this is awful, the name. I started the trailer. It looked very intriguing. Beautifully shot.
I loved the house.
Well, yeah.
I hated the house.
Made me super jealous.
And the house made me feel nauseous.
They made such great use of the space.
And they had so many cool props in this, and that came out of all the art that
tons
they
of modern
collecting,
art.
Which I know they showed in the credits.
Postmodern.
Is it postmodern?
I don't know.
So is it in the future? Is it modern in the future? I don't know.
Postmodern doesn't mean...
I know, I'm joking.
Okay.
It's a joke. It's a play on the...
Okay, fine.
The way it was shot, and then the creepy elements that they added in, mixed with a kind of a rad soundtrack. They lead off with this song by Purity Ring. I don't know if you've
Love Purity Ring.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah. It felt very, very different. It was a completely unique feel to it. I'd love the chance to interview the director to find out, because if she was an it girl in the late 90s, that's right around like this whole Bret Easton Ellis.
She said that she was inspired to write the film after a discussion she'd had with one of her friend's daughters who had been cyberbullied. The idea started because I asked my friend's daughter, "What is horror to you?" This girl was cyberbullied very badly. Now, I was bullied badly as a kid, but I could always change schools. I could always go home. Now you can't. When bullying follows you home and there's no escape and no end, to me, that's horror. And to so many girls, that's just life.
I mean, and these kids, Sam and I always go back and forth about this. Obviously, I would love to be financially super comfortable and not have to stress about money, but I never, ever want to be super wealthy, because to me, that's exactly what this movie epitomized. I know so few happy, super wealthy people, and I know a lot of really miserable, super wealthy people. And this movie, especially in the sense of raising children, oh my God, those girls were all nightmare humans, Byron.
Yeah, this is a world where the only thing that's important are how much money you have, where you live, and what you've done sexually, I guess. Even
and they're
comes
all
up.
How many likes you have.
Yeah, and then you get deep into the
Right.
actual, the game.
But they're all freaking miserable. They were all miserable.
The loneliness was, to me, what really stood out. Everyone in this movie is completely alone.
Okay,
Every
Byron,
character.
can we talk for a moment about the scene where they all put on the masks and start dancing? Because it's maybe one of the coolest things I've ever seen. That actually reminded me a little bit of the scene in Donnie Darko with Sparkle Motion.
There is a really great mask dancing scene.
That is honestly one of the most memorable movie scenes on my list.
How would you describe the animations?
Oh, kind of just a visual assault.
It's like Candy Crush.
It's like you're in Candy Crush, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it was kind of mixed with like Japanese influence.
Yeah.
That's where this movie kind of separates visually. It's kind of these desaturated, flat, beautiful, steady shots mixed in with, when they're playing the game, they're these aggressive, bright colored emojis flashing on the screen, and
it's so discordant.
So mixed in with these scenes, also there is shots of a almost like a live streaming Periscope-esque found footage element. It was kind of interesting. By the end of it, they only had like less than 100 people watching this live stream of what was going on, which is interesting. They could have exploded that to be some sort of like Black Mirror-esque, everyone's watching this situation, but they're still isolated, which brings me to another point, that this movie is very controlled. Everything was so deliberate and paced and calm. Even in the chaos, it didn't go over the top. Where were we before I lost my train of thought?
We were talking about the animations and emojis.
Yeah, it was crazy. And yeah,
it was like a bad night in Tokyo.
Absolutely, a bad night in Tokyo.
I guess when we describe that, it may sound like it's a gimmick or it's just a grab at your attention, but it's really not. It really
it's world building almost.
Yeah,
I can't say enough good things about this movie, and in fact, I will watch it again, just because I know that it's very dense in terms of the graphic elements and the artistic elements, and I feel like I need to watch it again to really absorb all of it. I can't for the life of me understand why the reviews out there so far, and it's really early, but the reviews so far are pretty bad. And all I can think of, and this sounds so condescending and bitchy, but is that people really didn't understand it.
Well, I mean, the plot isn't a unique plot. This story's been told before, but it's never been told like this.
Nowhere
This is
near.
a slasher film.
Yeah, and they say it's based on a true story, which is a massive stretch.
That is a stretch, I agree.
And you shouldn't think that going into
The true story is based on the Slender Man stabbings. Does anyone remember that?
Oh, yeah.
It was May 31st, 2014 in Wisconsin. 2 12-year-old girls, which makes sense in this.
The kids in this are 12.
They lured another girl into the woods and stabbed her 19 times, allegedly to sacrifice her to Slender Man, which is a character that was created on Reddit's creepypasta forum. So
Slender Man does not make an appearance in this movie, just
There's no
so
Slender
people know.
Man.
There's no Slender Man, although, no, it wouldn't have worked in this story.
There's stabbings, though.
And to me, I'm with Sam. The horror of this is the existence as a 12-year-old, especially, first of all, in today's day and age, but especially in this micro universe of extreme wealth. I can't imagine anything more horrible. Like, I really, and I genuinely mean that. It is so disgusting and horrible to me. It made me uncomfortable. It made me sit on the edge of my seat and feel just terrified and gross the whole time any of those scenes were taking place.
I would less rather be stabbed.
Yeah, I would rather be stabbed than be one of those 12-year-old girls.
So Chloe Sevigny,
Yep.
popping in a lot of movies lately.
She was good in this.
The trailer leads that she's probably in it for 4 seconds, but she shows up for quite a bit.
Yeah.
While she was great, I think the stars of the show were, let me look at my list here, Sadie Seelart and Haley Murphy.
And Timothy Hutton.
We got to talk
kicked
about
ass.
Timothy Hutton, but the other 2 girls that I just mentioned, this is like their first feature ever. And what's her name? Whoever played Sam's
killed it.
dance moves.
Oh my God. They were
Hilarious.
mine.
Yeah,
they were mine.
Well, she didn't pull out the prospector, but
it was close.
It was pretty cool. Like a lot of confidence on the screen, even with the subject matter.
Which to me also means the director was doing a hell of a good job.
Absolutely, making everyone comfortable on set.
And
working with kids can't be easy, but this made it look easy.
And it sounds like the director put her stars in acting classes for several weeks together before they shot it.
Oh, to like form a bond with
Get
each
them
other.
comfortable. That's really smart. Back to Timothy Hutton, though. He plays the father of one of the characters, also a doctor, who is apparently the richest person in this city.
I guess we're led to believe.
Incredibly aggressive.
Yes.
So intense.
But
like just on the teetering edge of madness.
You know what's interesting is second to Sam, I had more empathy for him than anybody else.
Really?
Obviously, so his wife had just died.
Mhm.
He's completely freaked out by his daughter. He's also breeding the whole situation that's going on with his daughter because as he's sitting there with her, reprimanding her for skipping school, he's like sitting on his phone and apparently playing a game as well.
Uh-huh.
But when he's completely terrified and he goes to try and find out what the hell's going on with her, when he's just freaking out and screaming at these girls, I could see myself doing the exact same thing.
I mean, I felt like he was going a bit overboard, but by the time you reach the finale of the movie, things sort of kind of make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, his performance was incredible.
It was amazing. Did you, I mean, Byron, I know you're not as big of an Easton Ellis fan as I am, but did you get that vibe in this movie like I'm talking about?
Yeah, I definitely see that. I'm nowhere near as big a fan. I actually just downloaded a couple episodes of the Bret Easton Ellis podcast. I haven't listened to it yet, but Eli Roth was on last week.
Oh.
Very curious to see what they have to say.
Yeah, I actually am interested to hear that as well. I mean, like you've seen Rules of Attraction. Have you seen Less Than Zero, or more importantly, have you read Less Than Zero?
Absolutely not. Thanks for shaming me.
Sorry, you know me. I'm illiterate too. I barely read anything. Less Than Zero is like 100 pages. You really should read it. It's the most disturbing thing I've ever read in my entire life, but it's good. I loved this.
Well, and as a parent, though, you must have empathy for
Yes, but
Dr. White.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I ended up having empathy for all of the girls just because clearly girls don't just suddenly, they aren't just born that way. Like they're created to be the monsters that they were in this movie by the environment that that has surrounded them since birth. And that was just gut wrenching to me. And all I could think of is, thank God I live in a place where the odds of my daughter finding that crowd or anything similar to it are basically zero. That made me feel better. It's kind of a melodramatic but significant wake-up call about the things that happen with teenagers today. And as the director pointed out, the nature of bullying and really any of the problems that teenagers encounter that we've all encountered when we were that age, they are brought to a completely new level because they've suddenly become inescapable. There is no place to put up a wall and close the door on those problems and get some space from them.
Back-to-back bully horror these past couple of days.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
Thoughts on the third act without talking any spoilers? Visually, it did some really cool things, and then a not so great wrap up.
I felt like there were too many divergent micro plot points, maybe. Like we're trying to follow multiple characters around, and it kind of jumps back and forth between them. I feel like it could have been a little bit longer and done a better service to those plot points.
I mean, I know we're not supposed to be giving away our top 10s of the year yet.
Uh-oh.
But spoiler alert, this is totally on mine.
Okay. What would you give it? Or unless there's anything else you guys want to add.
No, I would absolutely give this movie... I'm giving this movie a 9.2.
Whoa. Really? This might be the highest Kelly flick.
Like, I'm dead... I loved this, and the more distance I have and the more I think about it, the more I love it. I am going to warn people, this movie is definitely not for everybody, and it is much more of a psychological movie than I would say a true traditional horror, but it is amazing. Amazing.
How about you, Sam?
I'm going to go 7.0 on this one. It was extremely unique, beautifully shot. The set was fantastic. The art was incredibly effective at just establishing kind of the disturbing sense of the absurd and unreal. The animation was right on point and was an incredible addition to this film. I really like this, and I want to see what Tara Subkoff's up to next.
And I give it a 7.3. This was a very strong debut with a clear vision, and the pace was spot on from the beginning. There's no lull. They just jump right in. I think there were some points at the end that I wasn't 100% sold on, but the elements that they nailed, like the social media, and honestly, things popping up on the screen very rarely works. And in this film, it made the film, among a lot of other elements.
It really, I think world building was an accurate word when you used it. It really draws you in.
And this has been our review of #horror, which is available now on VOD, Amazon, pretty much all of those platforms.
God, I love that movie. Like, loved that movie.
I'm glad to hear it. It's bizarre, the lack of attention this movie's getting.
Byron, I know you're not a reader, but will you download Less Than Zero on audiobook and listen to it?
I will lie about that on the air. Yeah, I'll watch it.
I really think you'd like it.
Yeah, I'm sure I would. I'd like a lot of things.
Let's make up some other things that Byron can lie about
Byron,
doing.
it's borderline serial killery. I think you would really like
but
it.
I don't have time for that kind of stuff. I don't have time.
Listen to it while you're jogging.
Okay, I will. Jeez, for gosh sake.
Byron's got his podcasts.
So you guys do this horrible EV Please. I'm going to go put my daughter to bed and skip EV Please because it creeps me out.
Also, if you have seen this movie,
not just saying that for the air, it actually genuinely creeps me the f*** out.
Let us know your thoughts. Leave them in the comments below this episode, as well as your thoughts on all the companion material that we have. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Amityville Horror and other possessions.
And I'm also interested in opinions on Kelly eating Skittles into the mic.
Yeah, or hit us up on Twitter at Frightday. So EVP, are we gonna call forth a demon into your house?
Clearly, we're going to.
All right. EVP, or electronic voice phenomenon, is a common practice within the field of parapsychology and on this podcast used to capture answers and concerns of residual spirits, sometimes from potential possessed murderers. I'm dying.
Don't get through EVP and then die.
Sure. What's his name?
Lutz, right? No, DeFeo.
DeFeo. Ronnie DeFeo. I like to ask. I mean, even if it was just an acquaintance of Ronnie DeFeo, I'd like your spirit to come forth and answer a quick question. I want to know, Ronnie, how did you pull it off? How did you assure that they slept through the blasts? And please leave. See the door as soon as possible, Ronnie. We don't need you sticking around. You just
seem like a scumbag,
Seem
Ronnie.
like a bit of a dirtbag. And I'm sure you got crawl space bodies that you need to hang out with.
Man, that was a good evening.
It was a treat.
We actually scared Kelly off.
Yeah, she's gone. I guess we're just going to wrap this one up without her. Maybe we should do her a favor, though. We should tell them about the co-captain t-shirts that we have for sale.
Yeah, we should. They're good t-shirts.
Yeah, go to shop.frightday.com. Make Kelly's day by picking up a co-captain v-neck, or I just put up the Kelly's Cryptids and Conspiracies Academy pins.
The pins are awesome.
They're only $2, or you can donate more if you want to support the show. Another really good way to support our show is to go on iTunes and leave us a review. That is one really, really good way to ensure that we get seen in front of more eyes. Probably the coolest thing. And we will definitely send you some treats if you do. Once you leave a review, contact@frightday.com is our email address. Give us your address and we'll send something your way. So what are we watching next week?
We are watching
Krampus?
Oh, that warms my heart. Fires up my holiday spirit.
So Kelly put #horror in her potential top 10. I'm leaving an open spot for this movie.
God, it's been a good year.
It has been a great year. It's quickly coming to a close, but we're going to have some treats for you on our end of year episode. We're going to have our top 10 lists, as well as maybe a little game that I'm creating for you and Kelly. It should be a good time.
I love games.
Where can people find you on the internet?
At Sam Frightday, or email me, sam@frightday.com.
And I'm Kelly.
I'm Kelly. I can be reached at Kelly Frightday.
And also we're doing a pretty cool Christmas special, Tales of Terror, and you can... I sound like Mickey Mouse.
Because I love Christmas.
So send me your ghost stories, Kelly@frightday.com. Thank you so much, Kelly. And I'm at Byron McKoy on Twitter. Byron@frightday.com is my email address. And my favorite serial killer this week is the BTK killer himself, Gary Ridgway. That guy's a freak.
Yeah, unpleasant dude.
Not good, but he was actually really good at doing what he did.
He was. None of those letters are good things.
And until next Frightday, I'm Byron.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Kelly. Stay off. Oh, no, you can't do that. That's unacceptable.
You guys are so funny.
No, I just know that our listeners can't handle that.
Nobody can handle that.
No, please.
Rational people.
We have to end it now so we can get on with the show.
I know.
Please.
I'm just swallowing. I'm legitimately
Okay,
getting
let's not eat anything else for the rest of the show.
That's not happening.